Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Up until this point in Season 2, Jack Reacher hasn't lived up to the hype from the first Prime Video installment. As he wanders the world, he continues to be a towering figure, and he uses his immense size and his talents to make things right. Even more devastating than his brother's murder was the loss of his former colleagues in the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division. Though he served as their commander, he is not their caretaker. Restoring Reacher to his peak performance, the man goes through completes the circle. He's going to require it. Working alongside the remaining members of the 110th Special Investigations Unit, once more unsettles Reacher, even though he has a duty to care for his dead companions. Taking revenge for his brother's murder in Margrave, Reacher has likely had some off-screen experiences in the 2 years after Season 1. Since this is his norm, he is naturally the most knowledgeable and competent operator in the room. He has been humbled by his work with Francis Neagley, David O'Donnell, and Carla Dixon. There's a new dynamic now that he's not their commanding officer and doesn't wear the rank. Regardless, the squad continues to obey Reacher's directions and look to him for leadership, even when he seems little uncertain. The flashback story that ran throughout Season 2 concludes in Episode 7, which explains why. The prior episode, New York's Finest, flashed back to reveal how the investigation into the 2-year narcotics ring on base was obstructed by the political maneuverings of U.S. Army officers. Reacher and the 110th Special Investigators defied orders and launched a full-on assault on the operation anyhow in what is the longest flashback sequence in Season 2. Prior to this, however, Reacher delivers a speech outlining the potential repercussions, such as demotion, menial tasks, or even deadly missions, beyond only preventing heroin from spreading on base and in the surrounding economy. His goal is much broader, and will be making sure the criminals hiding behind the name of the U.S. Army can't do so with impunity, stated the general. If you want to know who Reacher is or was as a soldier, there's no better line to read than this one. His pledge of enlistment mentioned domestic adversaries, but he isn't quite by the book. But he is prepared to put himself and his unit in harm's way to defeat them. In addition to being Reacher's trademark style of classic action movie combat, this lengthy aside accomplishes 2 goals. The film opens with a scene of the 110th Special Investigators forming an unbreakable camaraderie in the heat of battle. Second, it reveals Reacher to be the platonic ideal. The guilty soldiers are offered an opportunity to surrender by him. The 110th takes the one who flees into custody and kills the 2 who don't in self-defense. We send out the civilian buyers with what some would term extreme prejudice. As the unit sings a tune that fans of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 will remember, their celebration is abruptly cut short by Reacher's commander. Reacher's journey as a vagrant begins at this point, marking the unit's demise. After the flashback, there's a sequence that shows Reacher at his best again. Breaking into a hospital room manned by cops isn't exactly a cakewalk for Reacher and Dixon. His words to the lone surviving member of the squad that murdered Detective Russo show it instead. With a grip on his throat, he yells out a threat. "You yell or make noise, I'll tear your trachea out, and your last thought will be, holy shit, he really did it." Reacher's savagery, wit, and confidence are all back where they were in Season 1. To make matters worse, this scene is among the episode's less strong points. It doesn't betray Reacher's character, but it's a tired action movie cliché that needs to die. The last survivor is brutally murdered by Reacher. He does it for Russo, the detective, but the deceased officer would be furious. He would have desired the prosecution and imprisonment of a hitman who was at ease murdering a child. The incident that came before the flashback was another form of vengeance that Russo would have preferred. Reacher visits the lieutenant under Russo's command in order to interrogate him. Reacher presents him with an opportunity to surrender to the authorities in this instance. As a result of his refusal to take that risk, Reacher murders him while acting in self-defense.